Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Sampson. I am the Strategic Partnerships Director here at Visual Communications. Thank you for spending your time with us here at C3 Converse presented by Nielsen. We'd like to thank our generous sponsors who have supported Visual Communications and to all of our partners who have made the 36th Annual Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival possible. Thank you especially to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Comcast NBCUniversal, California Arts Council, SAG-AFTRA Producers Industry Advancement and Cooperative Fund, the National Endowment for the Arts, HBO, and Warner Media. If you didn't already know, VC has launched our VC50 campaign. Visual Communications is celebrating 50 years this year. So if you feel compelled to do so, please donate to vcmedia.org/donate to allow us to continue to support our artist programs. And now I'd like to welcome our moderator for today's panel, Marie Jamora. Born and raised in Manila, Philippines, Marie Jamora's Flip the Record won Best Narrative Short at Urban World, and her feature, What Isn't There, premiered at the Slam Dance Film Festival. She was executive producer and director of Family Style, an Asian foodie show with Justin Lin's Yum Yum F and Warner Brothers Stage 13. She is the first Filipinx director at AFI's Directing Workshop for Women and the 2020 WB Television Directors Workshop. Marie is also the founder of Cinema Sala, a screening and workshop series that showcases Filipinx work from the film and performing arts industries. Hosted in VC's own sala, which means a living room, it's an effort to bring together Filipinx creatives in Los Angeles. It's an opportunity to showcase works from all over the Philippine diaspora. Cinema Sala has expanded to feature-length screenings and live performances. We are excited to present this panel as it gives our artists the opportunity to directly connect with the powerhouse Pinays. Their efforts are dedicated to diversifying and expanding the landscape of television. Please welcome Marie.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction, Ray. I owe VC a lot because they were, and Francis has been one of our biggest champions from the very beginning, and we're almost celebrating our 5-year anniversary. So it's an honor for me to be here today and to moderate this amazing panel of powerful Pinays who are pipelining new talent at NBC. I've interviewed them before, and they're so wonderful, and we're honored to be able to showcase what the strides they're achieving in their respective fields. So today I'm really excited to start first with Rosemary Palacios. As a manager in global talent development and inclusion, Rosemary Palacios leads the day-to-day execution of the creative talent pipeline programs and workforce initiatives, such as the Universal Writers Program for live action and animation, Universal Directors Initiative, and Universal Composers Initiative. Prior to joining Universal, Rosemary was the senior manager of preschool production and development at Nickelodeon. In that position, she was the development executive and executive in charge of properties such as Core and Peg, Shimmer and Shine, and Abby Hatcher Fuzzly Catcher. Welcome, Rosemary.
Hi, Marie. Thank you so much, everyone. So excited to be here. Awesome. So, is it still in full screen?
No, I see the presenter screen.
You see the presenter screen?
Now it's full screen.
Okay, cool. So Global Talent Development and Inclusion is a newly formed group for Universal. It's the first of its kind for a film studio. It came about in 2017 and is only 4 years old. It really just came because there were not enough, between the Me Too movement and Oscar So White, we felt like we really needed to do more to bump our pipeline and boost it up. So we took this two-tiered approach between our creative pipeline programs as well as our workforce initiatives. So you can see we have writers, directors, and composers. So first up, I just want to state that our mission is really to just discover and foster up-and-coming talent in front of and behind the camera, as well as workforce. So again, I mentioned doing this through that multi-tiered approach. One of our initiatives is our Directors Initiative. It is a 2-year at-will initiative that we have in partnership with Sundance, Film 2, and the AFI Directing Workshop, currently open to talent who's come through these programs and organization. But that being said, we're always looking to expand, and last year we extended invitations to filmmakers from American Black Film Festival and the New York Latino Film Festival. So this being an at-will initiative, the goal is to enhance their knowledge of the studio system process and expand their network of champions across the studio with execs, directors, and our term deal producers at the studio. Then we have our Composers Initiative. So in 2017, out of 200 top grossing films, only 3% were women, and there wasn't enough data to even show how many composers of color there were. So this groundbreaking first and only one of its kind opportunity is open to new and experienced composers and musical talent on the cusp of breaking into the studio system. This was built in partnership with our film music team as a 1-year at-will initiative and launched with DreamWorks Animation, but since then has expanded to 2 years in order to allow composers to strengthen their relationships and build career momentum to really serve the greater NBCU company with opportunities in both film and TV, as well as other media. So in the first cycle of this program, our composers have scored promo spots for NBC Entertainment. They've demoed and scored 2 DreamWorks animation shorts. They've done original themes for NBCU sports shows. And one of our composers scored the high note for Focus Features, and she's currently slated to score the new DreamWorks feature, Spirit. So we've had a lot of great support across the industry, just really promoting this initiative. We recently launched an application window, and we're going through the process of reviewing those now. But it's gotten a lot of support and referrals from esteemed talent, such as Michael Abels, who did Get Out and Us, Danny Elfman, and Chris Bowers, just to name a few. And our writing program is a year-long paid program. And I want to just kind of note that there's a difference between our at-will initiatives, which are unpaid, and our paid programs. So anytime it's a program, it's something that you do get paid for. So our animation writers program is our newest program that we have in partnership with DreamWorks Animation and Illumination. We have 3 tracks. So this has film and TV. And within TV, it's actually broken down for preschool and kids 6 to 11. In order to apply, applicants must submit a personal essay, and we really take that into heart, just kind of getting to know who these people are. And for features, you submit a feature spec and a feature treatment, and then for TV, you submit an original pilot and a spec from our approved spec list. But throughout the program, the writers will experience a robust curriculum where they really learn about every department that an animation writer interacts with. Features, if you're in that track, you'll write 2 feature scripts throughout your program, and that will go up for potential development consideration. And then for TV, our goal is to have you write episodes of current series for potential staffing consideration. So the idea is that the writers will be mentored by producers and executive advisors in animation, and we will be looking at this opening again and launching next year. We recently launched the application earlier, actually it was a little less than a year ago, but due to COVID, that has been pushed. And last but not least is our live action writers program. I think this is kind of our premier writing program where it's a year-long paid, and it's been the longest running for us as GTDI. It's been in its 6th cycle since it was kind of going prior to this before we jumped in. So this is exclusive to the studio during the program. So any writers that are part of this program are exclusive to Universal at this time. And similar to the animation writers program, you do submit a personal essay, and for the features, you're submitting a spec script and a treatment. And the goal is to also write 2 feature films throughout your year in the program. In this program, any of the writers are paired with studio creative advisors and producer advisors. Some of the ones that we've had in the past include Ava Longoria, Kerry Washington, Hiram Garcia, Amy Pascal, just to name a few, but they're usually people that we have term deal producers, term deals with on the lot. And this program is just designed to expose the writers to the studio system process, really enhance their craft and professional development skills, and set them up for their post-program success. So our custom curriculum really includes interactive roundtable discussions and workshops with experts and industry leaders. All of their scripts by the end of the program are eligible for development consideration. And we really work closely with our alum just to set them up for success afterwards. So once you're finished with the program, you're still part of this family. So our application will be opening later this year for 2021. And just to learn more, be sure to follow all of our social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at UniTalentDev. And I can put that up in the chat for you guys shortly. But on that note, sorry I don't have my slides because my screen, I was having trouble with my PowerPoint, but I'll toss that back to you, Marie, so you can intro Grace and Jandiz.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. You have so many programs and so much opportunity to a lot of different departments. So that's really, really exciting. And yes, I would love to get that link in the chat box for whoever is in the audience today, and they can also see what are the requirements so they can start to prepare, because I feel that this is just an amazing time and so much opportunity that they should embrace. And so today, thank you so much, Rosemary, for sharing that. And we will bring you up right after Grace and Jandiz share about their program, and we'll open it up to a Q&A. To those in the audience, we do have a Q&A box below to place your questions, and I can ask the wonderful panelists your questions after the next presentation by Grace and Jandiz. So it is my honor right now to bring up Grace Moss. Grace Moss is the Senior Director of Talent Development and Inclusion for NBC Entertainment. In this role, she oversees multiple programs that focus on discovering, cultivating, and showcasing talented writers and directors of diverse backgrounds with the objective of getting them staffed on NBC's scripted programs. Grace has been actively involved with numerous organizations and community partners, such as Asian Pacific Americans at NBCUniversal, the National Hispanic Media Collection, Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, the Filipino Hollywood Mafia, and East West Players, and Cinema Sala. Before coming to NBC, Grace was a development executive at the Style Network, where she received Comcast's Ingenuity Award and worked as producer and a director on a plethora of unscripted shows on MTV, VH1, TLC, and NBC. Welcome, Grace. Amazing. I will now introduce Jandiz Estrada Cardoso. Please come up, Jandiz. Jandiz Cardoso has been working in film and TV casting for close to 2 decades. Currently at NBCU, overseeing front of camera and D&I pipeline programs, scouting for actors, comedians, hosts, was the executive producer of the NBCU Short Film Festival for its last 5 years, and current EP for Stand Up NBC National Search and Tour. Voted Backstage Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Audition Coach of the Year. In 2019, she was the recipient of the Nosotros Golden Eagle Award in the category of Diversity Impact in Television. Welcome, Jandiz.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Amazing.
Thank you, Marie.
Please share your program, and I'm going to disappear.
Absolutely. So, all right. So talent development and inclusion. Yes. So Jandiz and I are leading this department right now. Our main job is to find the best untapped creative talent across the country and get them into the mix at NBC, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. So what you see here are our core values, and this is something that applies to not just workforce, but also our content. And our newest pillar here, intentionally inclusive, we feel like that is dedicated to just our department, because that's all we do is really be thoughtful about the talent that we're finding and really try to create spaces for them to share their voices and get their stories told. So with that, I am just going to touch on some of our pipeline programs, and Jandiz and I will sort of toggle back and forth. So first and foremost, we have our directing programs. In 2009, we actually started with one single program, the Directing Fellowship Program. And since then, we have birthed 2 other programs. So currently, the Emerging Directing Program and Female Forward are 2 shadowing programs for directors on the scripted side. emerging directing program right now is primarily for diverse male directors, and female forward is primarily for female directors. Both of them offer shadowing components, and both offer a guarantee of an episode in that same season. And we are the only network sponsored program to offer such a guarantee. The alternative directors program, for those of you that come from live events, documentary, live stage shows, that's probably something you may be more interested in. And this is for directors who want to be directing shows like The Voice, World of Dance, America's Got Talent. And through this program, we also offer a shadowing component, and we work very hard to get you a segment to direct on the series while you are shadowing. And I'll toss to Janice to talk about stand-up.
Thanks. I'm going to jump in and remind everybody at NBC, we like to say that comedy starts here. So every year we go on the road to 5 cities, except for this year, Tear-Stain. And we try to make sure we create stages and opportunities like semi-regional showcases in 5 towns across America, and find stand-up comedians that will ultimately compete for a talent holding deal. Last year we had 2 champions, and in the last 6 years that I've been on the road, we've had 11 finalists debut on Jimmy Fallon. Actually, this number says 3, but we have 4 alumni now that have been series regulars on our shows. 5 alumni that have been on the competition show Bring the Funny. One of them was the host, Amanda Seales. 2 comics that have been writers on SNL. 1 who's a writer on Jimmy Fallon. 1 who wrote and produced a pilot that NBC produced. Joel Kim Booster was on Peacock's show Sunnyside. And last year, or this current year, the still champion was named by Variety magazine one of the top 10 comedians to watch in 2020. So we're very proud of this. Some of you may know of one of our favorite alumni, J.R. de Guzman from Pangasinan. He won 2 years ago, and right after that, he booked a comedy special on Netflix. If you haven't checked it out, check it out now. J.R. de Guzman. Nice plug.
And he will be spotlighted, just another plug, at the upcoming Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture. So make sure to check him out there too.
Yes, and download Kumu.
Awesome. So our tentpole writers program is Writers on the Verge. This is actually the 15th year of the program. So this is really an opportunity for writers who haven't necessarily been staffed yet to really polish them and get them prepared for staffing season. So over the course of several months, we evaluate the writers and then ultimately choose 8 of them to be a part of the workshop. This May, we had 2,500 applicants, and we chose 8 to be a part of the program. So it is fairly competitive, but certainly we do everything we can to service these 8 writers. So the first half of the program is focused on creating a brand new sample, an original pilot, and then the back half of the program is really focused on professional development and industry insight. We also offer mentorship with executives within the company, and then also do our very best to get you representation. So we will circulate their materials to reps and agents across the industry and also within the division itself. So, you know, through this village of executives, we really advocate for these writers to get staffed on our shows. And I'll say too that our focus isn't just on that one class. We work with all alums of our programs to get them opportunities on all of our shows.
I'm going to talk a little bit about our casting initiatives for people that are out there that want to be casting directors. This is for you. And a shout out to my casting mentee right now, Rachel Varela. She is Pinay, and she's out there. If you guys want a Pinay casting director or casting assistant, reach out to me. I will connect you with her. But if you want to get into it and learn the career, you can be hired for up to 2 years with NBC and go out in placements with some of our specific shows. Right now, our casting apprentice is working on the show Never Have I Ever, as well as Superstore, starring Nico Santos. I just want to plug him. And if you want to work in a corporate space, you could have a career as a casting executive. And this is an opportunity where you could try out both if that's of interest to you.
Awesome. And so another Temple Writers program that we have is our Late Night Writers Workshop. 2020 is the 8th year of the program. And actually, an alum from the very first year, Nita Swice, if you've seen in Deadline, today it was announced that she and another alum of another program, our director's program, Nisha Ganatra, have a project with ABC called Real People. So those are two alums doing amazing work. So this program is really focused on comedic writing, specifically in the late night and alternative space. So this program is condensed. It's usually about a week-long program. Typically it takes place at 30 Rock. This year we did it virtually. But the goal of this program is to really come out with a great new packet that you can use for staffing. So that means desk bits, monologue, and sketches. And so we work with John Reynolds to really fine tune all of those aspects. And then with that, we also bring in plenty of speakers from across the late night and alternative space. I'll say we have an alum named Mark Kramer, who is a Pinoy writer from New York, who we were able to help get staffed on Last Week Tonight. So that's a great win for us, yeah. And in this picture here, not Asian, but this gentleman, Eddie Mujica, in the green sweater, he did our Late Night Writers Workshop a couple years ago, and he was just staffed on our new comedy series, Connecting. So the opportunities, even though it's called the Late Night Writers Workshop, it really does go across scripted as well and in our alternative space. We've been able to get writers staffed on the Kelly Clarkson Show, Making It, and Hollywood Game Night too. So that is a wonderful opportunity for any comedy writers out there. Also, last year we did launch a new Below the Line program, the Production Office Coordinator program. So this was our first foray for that area. It really is a wonderful way to just see what the Production Office Coordinator does. It is a shadowing program. So we choose four folks. They're about the key PA, APOC level to shadow current production office coordinators on our shows. On the scripted side, we had folks shadow on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Good Girls from the beginning of production all the way through post. So that was about 6 months. And on the unscripted side, we had a rotation. So they were able to shadow on shows like World of Dance and Kelly Clarkson and just rotate among a couple shows. So there is a small stipend while you are shadowing because we know that, you need to make a living and we want to be able to support that. And the ultimate goal is for these shadows to be staffed on one of our shows in the future. So this is really a wonderful introduction to our production teams. Jandiz, do you want to talk about external?
Yes, so we told you a little bit about our programs, but just like coming here to the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival, we are out there looking for everybody. So we have engagements with theater institutions like East West Players. We also have relationships with the American Black Film Festival at Second City, Groundlings, and UCB. SNL is gonna expand our scholarships into more fellowships. So we wanna make sure that you guys know where to find us. If you are intersectional or 200%, we're out there looking for you, and we wanna make sure that you have a relationship with us at NBC.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. And next is just us. Oh,
sorry.
Just a quick plug. If you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook at NBC Uni Tips. We also have a website that we'll be revamping soon and upgrading. Currently, it's www.nbcunitips.
Thank you so much. That was really exciting. That's amazing. I think that we have a question, which is a really good question, and it relates to the presentation we just saw. And the question is from Danny Cruz, and he's asking, are these programs open to people with disabilities as well? Are there other inclusion programs that cater to creative 100%. People with disabilities?
Yes. All of our programs are open to people with disabilities. We actually are actively seeking people with disabilities to be a part of our program. So yes, we actually do partner with groups like Respectability, Ability with an E, Easter Seals, just spreading the word about the opportunities. So yes, we totally would love to have more people with disabilities in our programs.
That's great. Thank you for the question, Nanny. And for people in the audience, please also add your questions to the Q&A box. I will begin with some of my questions. So in our last conversation, one of the biggest takeaways I learned was a conversation we had regarding what applications you receive and what you are looking for in each of your departments, and sometimes, you know, what are the mistakes that people commonly do and how can they avoid it. So I would like to ask each one of you, like, regarding the applications that cross your desk, whether they're writers, directors, actors, comedians, what makes something stand out for you?
Rosemary, you want to go first?
I can start. Thanks, guys. You know, I think just being with this team over the last year, I've gotten to really take a look at the applications we've gotten in for a few of our programs. And I have to say the most common mistake is people not taking the essay portion as seriously as they should. I don't think anyone realizes just how much we rely on that essay to learn about you and who you are. And also we get very specific with our prompts. So we kind of try to trick you, but not really trick you, but make sure you're paying attention so that way you're not recycling whatever essay you might have used for other programs, because we do ask specific questions for you to answer. But yeah, I think it's just really paying close attention to that essay piece and using that as an opportunity to like show what you can uniquely bring to the table that sets you apart from everyone else. Because when you boil it down, this is a diversity program. And so you can't just rely on being diverse to get you in. You have to let us know that how that's informed your creative path.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just piggyback off of that. I have the same thoughts for our writers programs. I think in addition to hearing your unique story, I think we also see the essays as another writing sample, and we want to see another way that you can write and tell a story. So I think that's really important. And when it comes to directors, I think it's always nice when you can have an emotional response to the material that you're watching. And I think, you know, we don't necessarily need to see a big budget feature. I think we just want to see that this director has a unique point of view and can tell a story that is very clear and does hit on those emotional strings, whether it's a comedy or a drama. You know, I want to be laughing out loud if it's a comedy. And in drama, I just want to feel immersed in this world and feel for the characters. So I think that's key. And then the last thing I'll add is just the interview process is really, really important. Once you get to the level where you're meeting with us in the room or online at this point, like, know that it's all an equal playing field. Everybody's script, everybody's reel or work was amazing. Now it's just a matter of how do you carry yourself in the room. Rosemary's counterpart, Emerlyn, often says, you know, are you somebody that we want to go on a road trip with? Because we are going to be working together so intensely for so long. So I think it's just making sure that we have a good chemistry and that we see potential in being able to work with you and sort of market you to our executives.
I'll jump in and just speak briefly for actors out there and comedians, people that are performers. Usually I meet you through an audition process. So I encourage you to just take courageous steps and choose something in the script that you don't believe anybody else would ever decide to do, and do it in your own unique way, because some people always play it safe or they take these big giant swings, but you want to make sure that the choice is unique to you. Maybe you pronounce something with a weird little voice, or you do something indicative with your facial expressions or body language, and we want to see that those quirks and that creativity come out. So lean into where you think you can find something that the person outside the door in a line of 40 other people that look just like you haven't thought of yet.
Yeah.
That is really, really helpful.
Pass it back.
Thank you. So there's another question, and it's from Josh Leong, and he's asking, is there an age range or experience level, college students, recent grads, etc.?
I mean, I think as far as being able to participate in the programs, I think we just ask for 18 or over, but beyond that, there's no age limit. It's really more about just the skill level. And, you know, if you're right out of film school and you are knocking out of the park, you know, great. I'll say oftentimes we do get a lot of new recent graduates. And I think, you know, we are looking for people that we know we can staff fairly easily. And a lot of that comes with life experience too, and professional experience. So I would say folks who are probably a couple more years into their professional careers, that's more of a general statement, but yeah, no age limit.
I think for our film programs, we do have a 21 and up age limit, but I think that's subject to review just because we want to be open to all talent and be inclusive in that way. But
We know
think
why.
a good part of it is that, exactly, there's alcohol and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Well, there is usually, but but I think the piece is that if you're in school, it's kind of hard when you are part of like our writing programs, when you are exclusive to the program and then you have to be fully committed to it for the entire year. So that makes it challenging if you're currently in school. And I think 21 and up was kind of our way to guarantee that you were at least out of school or close to being done by the time you started. But yes, to Grace's point, it really is about lived experience more than anything. And there are people that we've met with that are just like 21 years old and have lived more life than, you know, a lot of people that we've met that are much older.
That's true. Last year I saw a feature film made by a 17-year-old, and it was distributed by Array. So, I mean, it's really, everybody has a special skill set, and I'm glad that, I mean, obviously this is important, the being able to drink, but it's great that you're looking for all ranges of talent. There's another question in the box. I wanted to ask this later, but I think it's imperative now because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about it, which is how are these programs running in the time of COVID?
Sure. Well, I know that we obviously are pivoting. We want to be able to keep our programs alive because there's so much great talent, and we don't want our doors to sort of be open conditionally, regardless of what's happening in the world. We want to be able to say, like, yes, we embrace you and we welcome you into our home at NBCU. So as far as COVID goes, I think the biggest change is obviously doing everything virtually. Like I said, the late night writers workshop, normally we'd be in New York for a week. We did everything online from home. Our Writers on the Verge program, which is kicking off this week, also doing it from home. But I think that really grants us just more access, because writers who probably couldn't have been able to come to LA for 6 months are now able to join. So it's somewhat limiting, but also it does broaden like the access that we have.
Just to add to that, we actually launched our live action writers program 2 months ago virtually. So yeah, it's October now. So yeah, 2 months. And they've been attending roundtables and doing all of that over PC. And it's been pretty seamless. And like to Grace's point, these people they normally would have had to move to LA from wherever they were coming from, but it kind of allowed them to stay, you know, with their families during a time like this and still be able to engage and work with us.
Mm-hmm. Jandiz, want to add something with regards to the comedy?
Well, with the casting apprentice program, I have to say the apprentice currently has been busier than ever, nonstop. I think because casting directors are trying to navigate a digital space, and what's fortunate is she can do multiple shows from home, and adapting the skill set of auditioning virtually is something that she's been able to just jump from show to show. She started working in the casting office that oversees AP Bio, which also oversees the Tina Fey show, Mr. Mayor, starring Mike Cabayon. I just want to plug him, another guapo Pinoy. But so that program has not been interrupted. As far as auditioning, it's been difficult. Obviously, there's been very little to audition because the shows have not been in production, but shows are going back now. We're very hopeful. And Stand Up NBC, we're gearing up for 2021. So safety first, and fingers crossed.
Awesome. I love those guapo punais too. I agree with you in the chat. And Grace, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Female Forward and the Emerging Directors Program, I mean, one of the few programs this year that are still pushing through despite the pandemic, and you found a way to make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the headset on productions has been minimized greatly. And so while we are in this weird limbo of not being sure who's going to be able to shadow on set this season or next, what we're doing is launching a virtual series of workshops, which we started in July. And so we are able to still engage with these directors and in the meantime, hone their craft while they're not on set shadowing on the program. And I think it's really, really been pretty successful. I mean, we've had so many speakers come through and talk to the group that we normally wouldn't have done, like hearing from Leslie Linka Glatter or hearing from, you know, a cinematographer like Yasu Tanita from This Is Us, to just alums of our program. So I think even this sort of, it was a blessing in disguise because they were exposed to even more learning and more FaceTime to a lot of key players in the industry. So that's one thing that we have been able to do to engage them while they are not able to go on set.
That's awesome. And I think, yeah, it is a blessing that, you know, people who are usually super busy actually have access now to impart and mentor during this time. There's a question that we wanted to ask at Cinema Sala last time, which was, how is NBC empowering all of you amazing leaders during this time and keeping your creativity going during this the current environment?
Well, I'll say from a professional development level, they recently rolled out a very, very cool leadership program through the Harvard Business School. And that is definitely something where it was just an honor to be able to participate and do this multi-week program where it is all about leadership of self, leadership of your team, and leadership of like the business itself. So I think that was definitely an investment to the employees, specifically, a lot of them are women and people of color, to make sure that we are set up for success so that we can be groomed for growth. So that's a leadership consortium. And then another thing is that we're going to be rolling out an internal speaker series. Given everything that's happening with the time, of course, we want to be able to hear from some of the great thought leaders out there that are talking on so many different issues like privilege and race and unconscious bias. So I know internally those are some topics that as a company, we are all going to be, you know, working on and having smaller discussions to really have a common vocabulary as we go through everything that's happening now with the world.
That's exciting. Does anyone want to add? Rosemary, did you have something to add?
I can add, I think, you know, after the incidents with the Black Lives Movement and George Floyd and all of that, our team took a big beat to like really focus on that workforce culture and take a look at what we're doing to kind of give our employees in the film group like the resources that they need to stay like informed and understand. So we have also propped up a narrative speaker series where we bring in guests to discuss things like that. So we've brought in Mikhail Moore, Will Packer's come to speak, and most recently Gina Davis has been a part of that too. So that way we can have conversations on, you know, equality in the space, you know, gender, ethnicity, and then just really encourage those conversations outside of that instance. You know, the conversation shouldn't stop at the end of that roundtable in that speaker series. So we've done a lot to really figure out how to continue engaging employees throughout that time after the Zoom ends.
One last thing I'll just add, I want to really highlight the opportunity Grace and I had to put together a panel, not only just for the creative executives, but also the creators for our TV shows, addressing the conversation of mental health, especially the stigmas around different cultures. And we were lucky to feature Christina Wong, who is an activist and a performer and has a show that Grace highlighted to me titled Wong Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where it specifically addressed her relationship growing up as an Asian woman and just grappling with, am I anal retentive? Am I an overachiever, or am I actually dealing with true conflicts internally and emotionally? So I just encourage everybody out there to recognize when you want to give yourself a moment of grace. It's a tough time for all of us, and don't allow yourself to forget how valuable you are.
Thank you for that. It is very important. I'm so happy to hear how everyone is having some self-care and being so thoughtful within these this corporate structure. And I hope that, I mean, it's very shows for me the progression of this industry and being open to inclusion, diversity, and gender. There's some fun things in the Q&A that I want to bring up right now. I'll start off with the lighter things. Reno Ursal says, I'm completely intimidated by all of you. Sincerely, a guapo Pinoy. So thank you very much, Reno. He also
Don't be
says, "You're
intimidated.
awesome."
We're
So,
family. We're like your cousins.
yes. So that one's on the
Tita
lighter side.
Jandiz, you can call Tita Jandiz.
This is an easier question to answer. Gianna is wondering, are there any restrictions that keep artists from applying to any of the programs, i.e. citizenship, etc.?
Well, for our programs, I'll say we do require that you have the right to work in the U.S. So if you're Canadian or from the Philippines, you know, we welcome the application. But ultimately, we want to make sure that if we're pitching you as a writer to staff on a show or to direct one of our episodes, that you do have those documents in place, and we aren't able to sponsor you in any way financially either. So as long as all of that is in place on its own, then yes, we absolutely welcome international participants.
Great.
The same goes for the film programs too, where as long as you're authorized to work in the US, you're good.
And so here, there's another question, and this is from Laura Nicholas, who is in one of LA Asian Pacific's films, The Girl Who Left Home, and she's wonderful in it, so I hope you guys get to check it out. She says she's an actor based in New York, and she's currently not represented, but as you know, TV and film gigs are pretty untouchable without an agent. So thank you for all that you do. Are there applications all year round, and what are you looking for as of the moment as far as talent goes?
This is for actors, yeah?
Yes, yes, she's an actor.
Well, I definitely am already into the festival, and I'm about halfway or 3/4 through the shorts, and I'm already loving people that I see. So if you haven't already realized that all these independent films, these shorts that are out there, these web series that are produced for $5 or 3,000 pesos, they're going to be entered into festivals like this, and they're going to be seen by all of us. So I want you guys to realize, when you're out there and taking agreements to perform for free, the most important things to ask is, can I get the footage? Guarantee that they promise to get you that footage, because there's no use if you can't put it on your reel, and your reel is your calling card. And you want to make sure that they guarantee you that in a timely manner, and it can be a handshake, but work with people that you trust are of a caliber that can deliver that to you. And in New York specifically, NYU is one of the most well-budgeted and funded film departments in the country, and their caliber of films go on to be Oscar nominated. So don't disregard all the film schools in your own cities, as well as if you decide to come out to Los Angeles. In general, our target talent is diversity of any nature. And as Marie mentioned, it could be gender, ability, culture, faith. There's so many different intersectionalities. So just don't be shy to proudly share your background and your lived experience.
And I'll add too, like we have, I mean, just from NBC alone, we have, I think, maybe 12 to 15 executives across our programming teams who are going to the festival or, you know, virtually going to the festival. So, I mean, there's us, of course, but we've got folks from current programming development, the head of talent and casting, Grace Wu, has a pass and is going to be seeing a lot of this work. So just know that lots of folks from the industry, from NBC specifically, are seeing your work. And so hopefully that will get you some meetings as well.
And very quickly, I'll just briefly plug, having lived and worked in New York for 13 years, there's a lot of casting directors, agents, and managers that are the best teachers at studios like the Actors Green Room, One-on-One Productions, Actors Connection. All the casting directors and agents or managers go there almost weekly, and that's where they sign their clients. So if you are able to take a class virtually with someone you realize is, oh, this is a casting director, this is someone working on a show that I want to be on, I would specifically tell actors, like NBC, for instance, has several shows. We have SVU, Manifest, New Amsterdam. The casting directors that work on those shows, or the casting associates, they can book you having met you in a class. I've done this several times, even though you are unrepped. So take a peek at those listings of the instructors, and specifically casting directors and agents, managers who are teaching them.
That's wonderful. That is so helpful. I hope actors out there are taking notes, because that's super helpful. There's a few more. We have 10 questions here at the Q&A box, and it's really exciting because there's a lot of great questions. So I'm going to arrange the questions according to, I think, the flow of conversation. I'll start off with Erica's question. She says, do you have any suggestions / tips for recent grads who are looking to follow your same career paths? I'm very passionate about diversity and inclusion efforts in the entertainment industry, and I'm so inspired by the work you're all doing.
Well, I'll say, so she just graduated? Is that right?
I think that's what she said. Yes.
Well, we do have this really renowned PAGE program for post-college students. And actually, at one point, I think we had 2 or 3 members of our specific team who were pages and specifically worked as a page in our department. So I think that's probably, if you want to specifically be at NBC, like that's definitely the way to go as far as straight out of college. You know, you want to work on the network studio corporate side. And through the PAGE program, you actually rotate. I think you've got 4 rotations in the year, and it's highly competitive, but it's still a great opportunity. I mean, our current associate, Will Schnabel, he was a page in our program, and he's like kicking ass right now on our team. So I think that is something that's really valuable. I don't know, Rosemary, if you have any thoughts, or Jandiz, anything else?
The PAGE program is really great. I think it's interesting because our team on the film side, no one has really an official background in diversity and inclusion, right? No one went to school for diversity. I think we all kind of lean into our strengths, whether it's, you know, storytelling or, you know, production, whatever that might be. And we use that as leverage for our perspective of, you know, fighting for diversity, equity, and inclusion for all BIPOCs. So I think that's just kind of the way we've all kind of come on it, our team. So as long as you're showing that you're passionate and that you have something to bring to the table, whether it's strong sense of story or direction or production organization, I think, you know, just keep trudging.
Mm-hmm.
My next question is again from Josh Leong. He wants to know when applications open for directors in your programs.
Time to go, Rosemary? I'll go after.
Well, our directors initiative is actually not open to the public at this time. It's like kind of per invitation, and anyone in our directors initiatives are coming through either the Sundance Film 2 initiative or the AFI Directing Workshop for Women. But we've also recently opened that up to anybody that's been part of like the ABFF American Black Film Festival or the New York Latino Film Festival. Same thing with the LAAPFF. So yeah, I think that is still kind of TBD on when it'll be open to the public, but Grace and Jandiz, you guys have...
Yeah, for NBC, normally we would be opening up the submission for our emerging directing program and Female Forward this October, November, but due to the pandemic, we're actually gonna pause on that and open it next fall, 2021, because we wanna make sure that we can service this current cohort that was selected this season and potentially next season if they're not able to get on set. So next fall, our directors will be able to submit.
Jandiz, you want to add anything? Are you good?
Oh, Grace and Rosemary got the directors. Got nothing to add.
Okay, two last questions. So first one, I want to read Reno. I will never forget you, Reno. You said you were the guapo Pinoy guy. What would be your sage advice to first steps to independent Filipinx writers who may be overwhelmed by all this great information you've just presented?
This is from Reno. Is Reno a writer or director or actor?
He seems to be a writer.
Writer.
Oh yeah, he said
Okay.
writer. Yeah.
Writer. It can be overwhelming. I'll say that. I know because this is just NBCUniversal, and you know Warner Brothers, CBS, ABC, they all have their own programs too. So yeah, definitely just do your research and explore all the different opportunities at the different networks and studios. I would also say one more thing to maybe overwhelm you a little bit more too is that CAPE, Coalition for Asian Pacifics and Entertainment, they also have an incredible TV Writers Fellowship that we sponsor too. And they're amazing. So highly recommend that too. But I think now, given the time that it's, you know, we have to quarantine, number one, just take advantage and be introspective of what do you want your career to look like? What kind of like show do you want to be writing? And of course, like just write. Like you should be building your portfolio now, first and foremost, because you want to make sure that the work is there, that you have the capability and that everything is honed and ready to go. So that when these opportunities come to you, when these doors open, whether it's for staffing a show, on a show or getting into one of our programs, like you are ready to go. You want to make sure that you are undeniable and that people can't say no to you. So I think that's first and foremost. And then I think the next best thing too is just to build on your network. You know, like networking is so key. And there is an alum of Writers on the Verge, Bernard Badian, and I and Joelle Lumen had created this sort of network of Filipino TV writers. And we've expanded it to just like executives and all this thing. So I would maybe start there and just find your sort of support system and other folks that you can relate to and share and lean on for advice, and just pick a lot of brains. You know, it's a lot of information, it's a big industry, but I think when you have a stable group that's gonna be supportive and just share information, that's a good first start.
I think to add to that, I'd say before you go in and apply for any of these programs or check anything out, and you know you're committed to being a writer, you're all in. I think the first story that you really need to get down is your own, because that's what we are looking for. That's what all of these programs are looking for. They want to know your story and who you are. And if you can't sell us on your story, it's going to be really hard for people to hand over the keys to their show and say, here you go, you can take one of my episodes. So just make sure you know your story and really get that down, because people need to know what they can emotionally respond to about who you are as a person and what you want to do in your work.
That's beautiful advice, and I think it's applicable to every artist here, whether you're an actor, a producer, a director, or a writer. And I'm really excited. I'm sorry I didn't get to one question, but we are out of time. But this has been a really wonderful conversation. I can go on for another like 2 hours. I had like a list of questions. I didn't even touch it because this has been a really great conversation, and I'm sure we'll keep the conversation going, hopefully, in any other panel to come. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think having panels like this really makes the programs more like less of a dream that you can't touch. It makes it actually like achievable, because you showing yourselves and sharing yourselves, you put a face to the program and you make it achievable for all of us who are either Filipinx writers or anybody in the AAPI community. So thank you so much for sharing your time and knowledge, and for working so hard to be the heads of your departments, to actually be able to champion people like us who dream of sharing our stories in our industry. You want to have one last statement as we say goodbye to everybody here today?
I'll start. Yeah, no, thank you, Marie. I'll just say, it's possible. We are slowly getting more women that look like us on the network and studio side. And I'll say, a couple of years ago, I think Crystal Banzon's here. At one point, like, we had like Pinay moms as the majority in our department. And I never thought I'd be at this, in a place where somebody like exactly like me would be in the majority in this industry. So just know that we are slowly getting into these boardrooms, and excited to open doors for all of you creative folks out there.
Just to add, I feel like it's been a real big honor for me in the last year to come to this department and then find out that I have Pinay cohorts. Like, it's just been so exciting. I literally grew up in Texas where, people didn't even know what a Filipino was. So to come here, to live 5 minutes from Jollibee and have so many strong Pinay like role models in this industry has been a real like blessing for me to just, I think I find myself in the place that many of you writers do, to see like, okay, these are really awesome people I can look up to see that they're out there doing it. So thank you to Grace and Jandiz.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Marie.
I just want to say, you guys out there don't realize there's one more Pinay. Emerlyn is also part of the global talent development team, and she is a VP, and unfortunately not able. There's 4 of us, you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
In one department at NBCUniversal.
And I just, on that, I just want to say we're growing, we're taking over. I hope to see you guys everywhere. I'm watching the 72-hour shootouts. I'm watching everything in momentum. Congratulations to all the filmmakers, to all the gumption you have that brought you and the perseverance here. If you see me at the Seafood City in North Hills, come up and say hi. I'll be at Barrio Fiesta tomorrow night. No, just kidding.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pull up to that Seafood City.
Wanderlust. Everybody go to Wanderlust and get your ube ice cream this month. I'll be right there. And say hi to us and make friends and family.
Thank you once again, all of you.
Thanks,
Rachel,
everyone.
back to you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this incredible panel. Thank you, Marie, for moderating. Thank you, Grace, Jandiz, and Rosemary, for all that you do to create these spaces and being advocates for emerging talent, and for sharing your knowledge with the community. Thank you so much. I invite everyone to join us for Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives Triple D Nation Finger Lickin' Chicken Premiere pre-viewing party with the Park's Finest barbecue at 5:30. A lot has happened in 7 years since Park's Finest was on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri. So before we watch the premiere of a new episode live on Primetime, let's catch up, check in, and hear what's happening in P-Town. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Ingat.